各位记者朋友，大家下午好，欢迎出席外交部例行记者会。首先，我发布一则消息：澜沧江湄公河合作第4次领导人会议将于12月25日以视频方式举行。国务院总理李强将与柬埔寨、老挝、缅甸、泰国、越南等湄公河府领导人共同出席。请大家提问。
Now the floor is open.
谢谢发言人。总台华语环球节目中心记者提问：李强总理将于12月25日出席南美合作第4次领导人会议，中方如何评价当前南美合作发展？对此次会议有何期待？
澜沧江湄公河合作是首个以建设命运共同体为目标，由流域6国共商共建共享的新型地区合作机制，其中7年来发展迅速，形成了领导人引领、全方位覆盖、各部门参与的蓝莓格局，创造了天天有进展、月月有成果、年年上台阶的蓝莓素质，培育了平等相待、真诚互助、亲如一家的蓝莓文化，成为国与国关系的典范、区域合作的样板、蓝南合作的标杆。当前，蓝莓各国都处于加快发展和迈向现代化的重要关口。在不久前召开的蓝莓合作第8次外长会上，各方聚焦地区稳定与繁荣，着眼培育地区发展新优势，为即将举行的领导人会议做了充分准备。我们期待通过此次领导人会议，以推进蓝莓国家命运共同体建设为主线，重点围绕加强融通发展、绿色环保、科技创新、安全治理和人文交流等领域合作，深入探讨推进蓝莓流域经济发展在建设，为地区国家实现共同发展、携手迈向现代化做出积极贡献。
development belt and make active contribution for regional development and modernization.
Question from NBC, NBC has reported that President Xi told President Biden during the San Francisco meeting that China will reunify Taiwan with the mainland. While this is a known policy position, does this raising of the Taiwan issue in such a direct manner at the highest level with the United States imply that there is a change in China's tone or determination on the Taiwan issue, in particular ahead of Taiwan's election?
美国全国广播公司报道。
During his meeting with President Biden in San Francisco this November, President Xi Jinping outlined China's principled position on the Taiwan question. The readout on that meeting was released timely, and you may refer to that. President Xi Jinping pointed out that the Taiwan question remains the most important and most sensitive issue in China-U.S. relations. China takes seriously the positive statements made by the U.S. in the Bali meeting, and the U.S. side should take real actions to honor its commitment of not supporting Taiwan independence, stop arming Taiwan, and support China's peaceful reunification. It needs to be pointed out that settling Taiwan question and realizing the complete reunification of the motherland is a common aspiration of all sons and daughters of the Chinese nation, as well as the unstoppable trend of the times. Our position of advancing the cause of the motherland unification is consistent, rock solid, and shakable. China will and must be reunited. Next question, please.
您好，中国日报提问。中美元首旧金山会晤期间，双方宣布成立禁毒合作工作组。
During the summit meeting in San Francisco, China and the U.S. agreed to establish a working group on counter-narcotics cooperation. And what measures has China taken so far? This is an important common understanding reached between our two countries. To deliver on this, the U.S. side has lifted sanctions on relevant Chinese law enforcement institute, and the Chinese side has continued to promote special campaigns against the fentanyl and its precursor chemicals and crack down hard on illegal and criminal activities involving the smuggling, illicit manufacturing, trafficking, and abuse of fentanyl-related substances. And we have
两国禁毒部门也正逐步恢复常态化沟
the
通。
counter-narcotics authorities of China and the U.S. are resuming regular communication gradually, and the Chinese side has notified the U.S. side of the progress made in the U.S.-related law enforcement campaigns against narcotics, responded to the U.S. side request for verifying clues to certain cases and taking relevant actions. The two sides maintain close communication in this regard. I want to stress that the progress of resuming counter-narcotics cooperation between China and the U.S. is hard won and should be cherished by the two sides. And we should carry out a practical counter-narcotics cooperation based on mutual respect, equality, and mutual benefit. Next one, please.
半岛电视台提问。最近一段时期，以色列当局不断以市政建设为有没收被占领国，有期在
of municipal projects continue to confiscate occupied territories, especially Palestinian land in East Jerusalem. Such moves violate international law, directly intensifying the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, undermine peace, as well as the possibility of a two-state solution. What is China's position on the above-mentioned moves from the Israeli side? And as a permanent member of the UN Security Council, what measures can China take to stop Israel from taking those moves that violate international law?
China opposes Israel building settlements on the occupied territories of Palestine and opposes unilateral change to Jerusalem's status and the current situation formed over the course of history. We believe that the issue of Jerusalem's status should be settled through negotiations by parties concerned in accordance with relevant UN resolutions, given the continued escalation of tensions and the increasing spillover risks of the conflict in Gaza. Relevant party needs to speak and act prudently and avoid any move that might lead to escalation of the situation and even make it a spiral out of control. Next one, please.
谢谢发言人路透社提问。安哥勒非洲第二大出口原油的国家。
The second largest African countries of oil export has said that since 2001, Angola has always been one of the responsible partners of China. What's the negative impact on the cooperation between the two countries?
I can tell you that we always hope that we advance practical cooperation with Angola based on equality and mutual benefit. Next question, please.
好，谢谢发言人。总台央广记者提问。日前呢，在中国同尼加拉瓜复交2周年之际
Currently, President Xi Jinping had a phone call with President of Nicaragua and announced a strategic partnership. This is another latest outcome of the cooperation between China and the LAC countries. Can you share more information in this regard? President Xi Jinping and the President of Nicaragua announced the establishment of strategic partnership between two countries, which is a milestone of bilateral relations and serves the common interests, common development and prosperity of two countries and two peoples. And under the head of state diplomacy, the two countries continue to consolidate political mutual trust and strategic coordination and practical cooperation. The resumption of diplomatic ties between China and Nicaragua is the epitome of China's relation with LAC countries, and Costa Rica, Panama, Dominican, Salvador, Honduras has established and resumed diplomatic ties with China in light of historical trends, and more LAC countries have joined the Belt and Road Initiative and support GDI, GSI, GCI. The nature of China-LAC cooperation is mutual benefit and will-win cooperation and common development. China's free trade partner in LAC in Latin America now has reached 5, and we have finished the FTA negotiation with Nicaragua within a year, which will be put in effect in the January 1st next year, and we will. And our cooperation in the fields of infrastructure, energy, electricity, and people's livelihood have bring benefits to countries in Latin America. China believes that Latin America is not the battling ground for forces. We will continue to support Latin American countries in choosing development paths suited to their own national reality, and China stands ready to work with Latin American countries to deepen our bilateral cooperation and bring bilateral relations to a new level. Next one, please.
Alan Wan from Bloomberg. China will halt the export of a range of rare earth technologies. While Beijing already has some of these limits already in place, it's now widened a list of technologies that cannot be transferred overseas to include the processing of rare earth metals and magnets. Can you respond to that?
彭博社提问。中国正在考虑，中国已经宣布要禁止稀土的科技进行出口。现在，北京已经对某些技术进行了限制，有很多的其他技术也将会不得在海外进行流通，尤其是稀土还有磁铁技术。您对此有何回应？
我想你问到的是涉及中国政府相关部门公布了禁止出口限制技术目录。
The competent authorities has released the relevant list.
这是你的问题吗？
Is this your question? Relevant list on the.
为什么中国这样做 Why is China doing this?
中方主管部门已经就此呢作出回应。
Relevant authorities has responded to it. The amendment of the list is a regular amendment based on the involvement of situation, and the items in the list has reduced from 164 to 134. China continues to deepen reform to promote development, and we will create positive conditions for international economic trade cooperation based on national securities. Any more questions?
Good afternoon. A question from AFP. Top US and China military officers spoke for the first time in more than a year yesterday. Do you have any details to offer? And was Taiwan among the topic discussed? Thank you.
法新社提问：近1年多来，中美军方的最高代表第一次进行了视频通话，您能否提供更多细节？在这次通话中，是否谈及台湾问题？
中方相关部门已经发布了
Competent authorities has released the readout of the video call.
这个当中呢，也涉及到台湾问题。你可以。
It involves the Taiwan questions, and you may refer to the readout.
我们希望美方从中方一道
the U.S. can work with China in the same direction to implement the common understandings of resuming military-to-military communications between two countries in San Francisco and conduct cooperation based on equality and mutual respect.
下一个问题。
Next one, please.
谢发言人。 中新社记者提问：据报道，美国驻华大使伯恩斯近日表示，中国没有意愿。
Recently, U.S. Ambassador to China said that Beijing has no plan to cooperate with the U.S. in lunar exploration. What is your comment? What's China's attitude towards lunar mission and other international space cooperation with the U.S.? Today, the spokesperson of the competent authorities has briefed the information in this regard, and China is always committed to the exploration and use of outer space for peace, is ready to conduct international space on the basis of equality, mutual benefit, peaceful use, and inclusive development. China has always been open to the exchanges and cooperation with America in space. We established a series of working mechanisms with the U.S. However, the U.S. views the cooperation of space with China by Cold War mentality, and it passed some domestic laws, including the Wolf Amendment, and other regulations to limit the exchanges and cooperation in space between two countries, and even impose unilateral sanctions. This is the root cause of the difficulties of the bilateral cooperation. In lunar and deep space exploration, China is committed to vigorously advancing international cooperation. And recently, the CNSA has issued the regulation on the management of lunar samples and announcement of international cooperation opportunities for Chang'e 8 mission. We welcome scientists and researchers from all countries, including the U.S., to apply in accordance with relevant procedure. If the U.S. is truly willing to advance exchanges and cooperation with China, it should immediately revoke relevant bills and laws, stop making irresponsible remarks, and take practical measures. Next one, please.
The U.S. Commerce Department will begin gathering information on Chinese production of legacy semiconductors. Those are not the advanced chips. Those are just like regular chips. It's looking to track how deeply reliant U.S. companies have become on the technology from China. There's a belief that China is underpricing this production and sale of legacy semiconductors. Can you respond to that?
美国商务部表示，他们将会从明年开始对中国传统半导体科技进行信息的采集。这些半导体并非高级半导体，而是常规半导体。但是有人认为，中方正在压低相关半导体出口以及生产的价格，而且美方希望来得知美方的公司对于这一中国技术的依赖度有多少。中方对此有何回应？
The form and development of global supply chains is the outcome of market laws and the choices of enterprises. Using trade issues as a tool or as a weapon violates the principles of market economy and fair competition, will eventually damage the interests of the U.S. and the whole world, and the U.S. should abide by the international economic trade rules and the principle of market economy and create conditions for China-U.S. economic cooperation. Next one, please.
大家还有问题吗？
Any more questions?
如果没有的话，今天的记者会到此结束。
So,
谢谢大家。
This is the end of the press conference. Thank you.